Hello, happy Friday, happy snow day. I know this is coming late, but hey, better late than never. No, this is the project as it looked last time, and it's not particularly attractive, but we're starting to get all of that that's the royal we, starting to get all the stuff on the screen. When I click on a letter, it highlights it, it makes it show up here, and it introduces a gap between one guest row and the next guest row. So we got, again, Royal we got several things we need to work on here, making the gap go away, cleaning up the keyboard, and if I don't get anything else done, I'm going to clean up the keyboard because that turned into uh, almost an infinite loop of trial and error. And I did a bad thing, I'll confess. I did not put down all of my trials and errors in my development journal. I kind of gave up on that. And kill your darlings. I threw away the version that I'd spent all the time on and started over. And I couldn't even replicate my errors. I don't know what went wrong with the first one. As you saw in the screenshot, if you looked at it, everything in my version, the keyboard was scooted over to the right. And I couldn't get that to go away, so I just burned the whole project and started over. So here is sort of the goal. And here, well, not there. Another here. Um, it looks like it's a long way away, and some of it is kind of a long way away, but some of it is not. So here's what I'm going to try to do. Keyboard first. I'll focus on the view for this video. Um, Before I even get all the different rows and everything, I'm going to do something about the colors and the appearance. You'll notice they're not outlined and a different color and all that stuff. So those things should be easy, right? Everything should be easy. So we'll start with that and go to the keyboard and a single key, keyboard key, and this is in the view, so this has nothing to do with the model. I don't even know that I even touched the model today in all of this ridiculous back and forth I was doing. We do need a rounded rectangle, yes, keyboard radius. That's a little bit round. Mental note, I've got to go back and reduce that a little bit. The fill color is not blue. The fill color is a gray, but I think the default gray might be too dark. I don't even remember. And there is no stroke at all. So all that work into getting the outline to work out, bye-bye now, all of that goes away. So we still need the fill to make it gray, and we need the aspect ratio. And all of this, again, is subject to change. I am going to make the text bold, and to do that, just another view modifier bold, and not even a parameter. And let's just see what difference that makes. Okay, that gray is not too bad. Those letters are awful big. Those are going to have to get smaller, but let's work with that. Let's go with that and say the gray is okay for now and the letters are okay for now. The keyboard is clearly way off what this final keyboard needs to look like over here. There's 3 rows, all these different, and that gray is much lighter, isn't it? You know what? No, I'm going to stick with the gray. Not go down a rabbit hole just yet. What do we need? In the keyboard, here's the whole keyboard. The problem is we've only got 1 row, and I need 3 rows. So instead of in the body for the keyboard, instead of just this one H stack, I'm going to need a V stack of 3 rows. But I'm not even going to do 3 rows. A lesson I learned this morning trying to get this stuff to work, for crying out loud, was to be incremental about it. Is that not the theme of this semester? Be incremental about it. So I'm going to have the one H stack and then another H stack and see if I can get it to work for that without everything going cattywampus. Is that a word? I think it is. Command C for copy and V for paste, for paste. And all I did was just duplicate it. And I will try to comment as I go along. If all goes well in the universe, this will be the middle row. And it was trial and error on doing the rows separately. I was going to have just a separate structure for one row of the keyboard. Let me see if I can talk and type at the same time. Top row. And it turned out, here's the problem with that. It turned out when I had three, I had, this got complicated in a hurry. I actually had an array for each of the three different rows. And yes, you can have arrays of arrays. So I had an array that had three arrays in it. And the indexing is what really got me messed up. And I started having very complicated expressions just to get the letter that I wanted to go on the key. So rather than do that, I'm going to put all the letters into one big array. And that way, when I loop through it or for each view it or whatever I'm going to do through it, every key has its persists in having its own unique identifier, which is its index into the one and only one array, rather than some complicated array within array two-dimensional thing. Let me see what I've done to it already. Okay, yes, that is ugly. I agree with you. And there's all kind of stuff I looked up on this. Man, why didn't I keep my journal up to date? I wanted to be a good example to students. I know I was going to the internet a lot, and one of them was, what was it? Swift UI, of course. I did write down some notes. Swift UI fixed size. Why? Because if you observe those letters, they were all different sizes, the shapes and sizes. So the fixed size, what I tried some of, and frame, that looked promising. And sure enough, I ended up with something very similar to this. This frame here, what you're doing is specifying a box and say that no matter how big the letter is, then the box should always be the same size. And after some trial and error, I'm sorry that you don't get to join me in trial and error. It turned out that the keyboard itself should not try to impose a frame on each of the keys. The key, a single key, should impose a frame upon itself. So on the Z stack, which represents a single key, I'm going to put a frame, and I'm specifying a width to, this was trial and error here, it's got to be a symbolic constant later, 60 and 80, and that looked reasonable, if I recall. And we'll see. Oh, okay, good. So now the Z stack, which is the stack of things that turn into a single keyboard key, that is going to exist in this frame that's 60 by 80, regardless of how much space it would take up based just on the letter. So those, those are still ugly, but those are better than they were. And I got to have some adjustments here. That font size is too big, especially if I'm going to have 3 rows instead of 2. You know what? I might as well just dive in and put the 3rd row, because I'm going to have to eventually. Yeah, this is not proceeding according to the trial and error experiments at all. But it was either that or post a 4-hour video of me going through all the possibilities that I tried and it didn't work. Oh, all the darlings I killed this morning. Command C. There's the middle row. And we also, where's the closing for that? I guess that one. And we need a bottom row. Oh, this is going to be hideously ugly. I just know it. Well, it's not hideously ugly, it's just medium ugly. But now we have a 3-row keyboard, and it still works, believe it or not. It still does the weird thing with the gap beneath the guest row, so that still has to be fixed. But that much works, and I might as well start diving into symbolic constants, because a bunch of those are going to have to change. Let me see if I even, oh yes, I do. Silly me. I was going to ask, did I print out the changes I made? Oh my goodness, there are all kinds of changes. Here's some of the changes. The keyboard is not this. I actually just looked at the keyboard on Wordle, and did what they did. So if I can make this small enough to coexist, I bet I can't. There. So I will drag you through this part. Sorry about that. You can fast forward through this. A bunch of keys. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I need 10 across the top row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Caps lock. And the top row is Q, W, E, R, T, Y, U, I, O, P. The second row, I've already got some of that. Oops. Oh, I thought I had a square bracket there. I don't. A, S, D, F, G, H. And I need 1, 2, 3, 4. And those shall be J, K, L. Almost there. And for the bottom row, I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And yes, I'm intentionally leaving off the Enter key and the backspace key. Those are going to be increments all in themselves. And I forgot my count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Isn't this fun to watch? I bet it's as fun to watch as it is to do. Z, X, C. Is that a B? I guess it must be. B, N, M. Okay, there's that. I'll make it bigger again. And let's see what that, oh, well, that's not going to look any different, is it? Oh, yeah, that looks different. It's trying to put all the letters on every row. We don't want all the letters on every row. So back to the keyboard we go. And on the keyboard, I need to specify each row separately. Now, this is kind of, I don't know if this is a patch or not. This might qualify as a patch. But it gave me an opportunity to do some more of my online research. So back over here, this time instead of Swift fixed size, I did Swift UI range. Oops, I don't think it matters. Within array. Because I don't want to do all the letters in every one of those 4 eaches. I want to just do a range within the array. And this, I found this to be very helpful. You can slice and dice this any way you want, and it's actually called slices. Here's a one-sided range. You can give the starting number and ... or you can say from bottom up to 2. You can, I don't even want the self again. I don't know why I've grown an aversion to self. But what? Here's the way you could do a range. Here's the way you could do an arrange. Actually, I'm going to use more than one of these. I'll leave this window open in case I have to come back to it, which is reasonably high probability. But on the top row, since I'm going to be looping through part of an array, wherever you are, not there, yes, there, the top row, I don't want to loop through all the letter options. I want to loop through starting at the bottom, ... up through my symbolic constant that's going to be called keyboard row, KYBD, underline, row, 0, end. Now, here's the logic. Here's the method to my madness. I start at the beginning of the array, and I want this to for each through the beginning of the array, up through keyboard row, underline, end, which is going to be a symbolic constant integer That's the last key that I want to show up on the first row. You know what? It's not too early to jump over here and do that. I'll call these keyboard row extent constants, for lack of a better name. Let KYBD underline ROW 0 is the top row. Height, I don't want any height. I want end, is that what I said? I don't know. That was me whispering, I don't know. Keyboard row 0 end, yes, equals, and just count. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. And while I'm here, I'll go ahead and do the others so that they will be available. The middle row, I'll need to start, specify a beginning and an end. So keyboard row 1, look at what it's doing here. Except I don't want that. I want row 1 start is 10. It would be interesting to see what the AI thinks I'm trying to do here. And then I got to specify both ends of this. It might be 18. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yes, it must have been looking at this array. That's the only thing. And then it starts with 19. Look at this. It starts with 19, and I don't even care where it ends. I'm going to go to the end of the entire array. So I specified the end of the first row, the beginning and end of the second row, and only the beginning of the third row. Help me remember that. So over here in my for eaches, this one, temporarily get rid of this. This one also is only going to do a slice, a part of the array, from KYBD underline row 1 start dot KYBD row 1 end. And the bottom row, also just a slice. Just a slice, thanks. That one goes from KYBD row 2 start. Rows are, I labeled them like arrays because originally it was an array, 0, 1, and 2. And like I told you, that was just a combinatorial nightmare or a complexity nightmare. Now, here's how that helpful AI came into play. I found actually all of these formats here. This is the middle row. It goes from specific beginning to an end. And here is the last row, and here's the first row. So I used all of this syntax in picking out slices of the array. So we'll say I meant to do that for illustrative purposes, even though I do think this redundancy here, there's probably a way to finesse that away. But after today, I'm too tired to do that right now. I just want it to work, please. The build succeeded at least. Look at that. It's getting closer. Those letters are still a little bit big, are they not? Let's shrink the letters. I think I already have a symbolic constant for the letters. Symbolic constants. Keyboard key corner radius. That was too round, by the way. And I experimented. I might have ended up on 12. I don't have my symbolic constants handy anymore. But we'll try 12 and see how that works. Keyboard font size, 100 is too big. I'm going to try 55. Fine tuning right here with symbolic constants. That doesn't look bad. And you can't argue because you're not here. Yeah, it's getting there. I still think that gray is too dark. And for that, I think I did SwiftUI colors, but I don't think we needed that. I think we did that with the option click on color, didn't we, in class during one of the demos? But there's all different ways, good grief, that you can specify colors. The color blue, and here's what I went with. Red, green, and blue, you can give it how much out of 1 you want it to be. Where 1 is super bright, that's a white, if you do all of them once. and black is if you do all of them zeros. So I'm going to do a color by components, red, green, blue, and I want gray. So in my symbolic constants, custom colors I'll call it, although not very custom. And we will end up, the royal we again, we will end up with a lot of different custom colors, because you'll recall from Wordle, there are different colors depending on whether the letter is in the word or it's not in the word and all that stuff. And what do I want to call this? Keyboard color, what do I want to call this? Keyboard key color. Yes, thank you very much. I don't want to do it like that though. Color, you go away. Be gone. Color and memory of a flute fly. RGB, it's right there. I can see it. Red, green, blue. It's not RGB. Red. And for gray, 0. This will be a light gray because that's almost white. But I need to do the same for all three components if I want gray. Equal amounts of each color. Red, green, 0.9, blue, 0.9. Let's try that. And if it's not good, can't find color. How about this? Import Swift UI. I think I will. Did you do it? Yes, there it is, Swift UI. Yeah, because, this is the model, and the model's not supposed to know anything about what's going on over there in the interface, but I know several of you have already had to do that. So, hey, I am no better than you are, so I'll import Swift UI as well. That doesn't look different. Maybe because I didn't change it in the actual keyboard. Yeah, that would be a good reason. And I only have to change it one place. Thank goodness I don't have to do it on all this mess down here. This repetitious, redundant mess. But it is a good illustration of slices of arrays. Okay. Instead of color gray, I'm going to use my custom color. I forgot the name. KY. Help me. None of that stuff. KYBD underline key color. There we go. Thank you. Stop running so you can run. Ladies and gentlemen, we are approaching enlightenment. Well, the letters are a lot smaller in their squares, but you know what? I don't think that this is too bad here. We'll say I'm doing the visually impaired version. How's that? That's appropriate, isn't it? And what else do I need to fix here? These are bumping up against this thing up here. And here's where I started experimenting with spacers and what else? Padding. And I don't even remember what else I did. Is there anything else I need to do with the keyboard right now? I don't know of anything. So how did I do this? This will be in the content view itself, won't it? In the content view itself, stop. Content view. It already has padding, but the problem was the guesses bumped into the keyboard. So I looked up, what did I look up? It looks like I didn't write it down. There's SwiftUI HStack centered. That didn't do any, oh, you know what? That's what told me to try to use spacer. So that's where I saw the idea for spacer. I don't even know exactly what it is, but I'm going to try it and see if that separates the guesses from the keyboard. Well, it did a little bit. A little bit. Let me see if it'll take a number. I bet it won't. Min length. I'll give it min length. I actually want height. Let's see here. Yeah, this is me driving blind. Let me see if this does anything at all. It broke it. So I'll go back to using it with no number. The padding, if I recall, if you put padding on this body variable, then it applies to all the views inside. Oh, 10, that's going to be way too much. I ought to try it just to see if that works. I will try it, see if that works. But work with me here. If I put dot padding on the V stack, then the dot padding applies to the text and the guesses, and I probably don't need the spacer anymore. I'll temporarily take that out. This is me trial and erroring again. This is what happens when you don't write everything down in your development journal, and that broke it. So the spacer is better than nothing, and the padding, the 10 didn't seem to do any good. Okay, well, don't know much. We still got gaps up there. Well, you've been so patient through all this, and I think the appearance of that keyboard isn't bad if I do say so myself. I still might reduce the size of the letters a little bit. But this is a good stopping point for this video, and I will pick up exactly at this point, except it won't be running, in the next video. So I'm breaking it up for you. And here's the end of this one. So bye. I'll see you in a little bit. What is it? Shift Command 5? Oh, there's a stop button up here. Bye.